Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. I'm excited about my guest today. He has a passion for pushing boundaries and doing good. Over the past 25 years, he and his co-founder have initiated, expanded, and successfully exited 9 businesses, 2 of which reached NASDAQ listed status. Beyond the boardroom, he's an enthusiastic runner with a love for yoga and music making. I found out a fun fact about him that he used to be a drummer for an indie rock band, which is kind of fun. So I went through your profile and looked at all that. So we are going to be in for a treat today. But before I welcome him on, I do need to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. Okay, so now that we got all that done, we can get our guest on the show. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. So, Kieron, it's going to be fun. Kieron James, he's the visionary CEO and founder of Wonderful, a company revolutionizing instant bank payment technology with its commitment to simplicity, speed, and security. With 3 decades entrepreneurial experience, Kieron is not only shaping the fintech landscape, but also serving as a non-executive director at the fundraising regulator. His passion lies in fostering positive social impact, supporting charitable causes, and empowering fundraisers for maximum impact. His mission is to establish Wonderful Payment as the foremost instant bank payment provider in the UK and beyond. So, Kieron, welcome to the show. Super glad to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. My pleasure.
It's going to be fun. I had to get all that out. It's like so much to talk about in the first few minutes of this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like you've really set me up there now. I've got a lot to live up to, so fingers crossed.
That's good. I know. I love these bios. I always have fun with them. And, we probably said this the other day. I love AI too, because it takes that content and it makes it all worded really well for me. So it makes my job easy. Before AI came out, I'd have to sit and I'd have to craft these bios up. And that's my favorite part really, is how do I showcase you guys and shine the light, right? Like, how do I make you look really good here? I would have fun creating these, but I would spend so much time trying to make sure I got the right words and I didn't mess this up. And now I'm like, copy, paste, put it in. Let's reword it the way Jennifer would say it a little bit. Change the words so they sound like Jennifer. We got it. We're good.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, some of the advances in AI, we're using it for some of the support services on our website, and it frankly has saved us an absolute fortune in terms of time and resource. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes it's just good because you got you'll have the message, but you don't quite have the vernacular, right? Like you just don't quite have the wording, and it can help you with that, just that little bit of that wording. So
exactly.
All right. Well, I'm excited. Let's talk about what you got going on. So let's talk about, first of all, Wonderful. Let's talk about what this is so our audience knows what it is that you're doing here.
Okay, yeah. So latterly we're in payments, but it's been a very circuitous route into payments. So I'll share a little bit of the story if that's okay. We kicked off in 2016, and at the time you mentioned running in the intro, and thanks for the mention on that. I was doing the New York Marathon, I think the second time, for a charity called Mind in the UK. Raising money for Mind and basically using a fundraising platform in the UK, a very prominent one. And I think just a little concerned by the amount of money that was leaking from that platform into various different directions, whether that was the cost of payment processing or deductions from gift aid, which is a tax incentive that really is in place to benefit charities, or elsewhere. So what we did at the time was we thought, can we set up an alternative fundraising platform and see whether we can get 100% of the donations to go to charity? This was a completely philanthropic project. So I was running a telecoms business at the time. Spoke to my colleagues in the business and said, look, lunch breaks, coffee hours, do you fancy having a go at building a fundraising platform? Odd thing to suggest, but they loved it. Everyone got really excited about it, I think, because it was tech for good in a genuine sense. So we set about building this platform. And then essentially what happened was it took us a little while to get the charities to understand that our motivations were entirely philanthropic. They were a little nervous about getting on board. And once they did, we have, a site in the UK called the Money Saving Expert, apparently one of the top 100 most trafficked websites in the UK. They endorsed the platform and said this was a fabulous thing. And suddenly that kind of skepticism and nervousness amongst the charities just evaporated, and they came on board in really big numbers. That then created a success paradox. So we were running this platform completely free, funded through corporate sponsorship. After about a year, we got a bank on board to try and cover some of the costs, and they helped us out. But essentially, as we grew, those costs of processing payments just grew along with the platform. So we found that was creating a really low ceiling on our impact and reach, and we thought, what can we do to solve this problem? And just in time, along came a new technology, open banking. So we adopted that. We moved away from card processing for donations, and suddenly we got a solution to the problem. So that is probably a slightly longer-winded way of explaining how we got to where what we're doing today. But that's the route.
It's awesome. Yeah, no, and it's interesting. I think that, and we may have talked about this off camera when we met, but I think it's interesting how companies come about. I always feel like the best way is when you're trying to solve a problem, right? You figure out where the bottleneck is in something. And it was somebody, I don't know who it was. If somebody I was talking to recently even said that, he said he was trying to determine like who his client was. And he said, I was the client. Like I was trying to figure out the solution. When I tried to figure out the solution, then it became about, there's got to be other people out there that need what I have because it was a problem for me. So I think that sometimes, that's what we have to do, right? Like that's what we do in business.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. I mean, in solving that problem for the charities and the fundraising platform, we thought, well, this cost of moving money from a donor's account to a charity's account is exactly the same problem that retailers face in getting the money from the customer's account to the retailer's account. And I think that was, again, that kind of second light bulb moment of, well, if we've solved this problem here, let's adapt and create an FCA authorized payments business in the UK and serve the commercial sector too.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and I mentioned early on, I'm pulling the paper back up here. I'm like, what did I do with the notes that I just had? I feel like I'm shuffling papers today. You've had several different companies here and you brought them up. What did we count? 9? Was that right? 9?
It's 9 with the co-founder. We've been working together since 2000, actually slightly before then, probably 1998. I think we first started working together. So yeah, a long time now. Yeah. 25 years, in fact.
Yeah, you've had quite the journey then. I'm sure seen a lot of things coming and going in that. So I would love to know, maybe some of, you talked about the challenge when you're bringing this and finding the need, but maybe even back this up, because I would love to know just what you've learned being in this space, being an entrepreneur, maybe some of the challenges you've had to learn to overcome. Because I think a lot of times people coming into this space, we know because we're entrepreneurs and we know as building businesses, but people that are getting in often look at the end result. They see you at the end and they go, okay, this just happened, right? They don't know the journey that's transpired from here to here and all the hurdles. And so looking back, what were maybe some of the bigger challenges? And it may be, working with a co-founder, it may have been going into entrepreneur space, anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I started this in an odd way, going back to 1998. I was actually started life as a teacher, or my professional life as a teacher. Wow. And I went out to the Middle East to run a training institute over there back in about 97, 98. And they were looking for an expansion to other countries within the Middle East and said, can I put together a PDF marketing brochure? And this was as the internet was really starting to explode. And I thought, well, that's probably not the best route into marketing internationally. So I ended up putting together a website for them. And that was really what sparked the interest in running my first business. So the first business was a small loan from the bank for an Apple Mac computer, working from the bedroom and starting to build up a client list. Genuinely, that's how we started. I remember, again, some of the kind of highlights from that are the lowlights and highlights, the point of how do I reach my customers? So I know how to use the technology, but how do I get out there? Very different landscape in terms of search engine optimization, as you can imagine. Yeah. In fact, I famously talk to people about how we essentially gamed Google as they first started, which was as simple back in the very early days as putting the keywords in white letters on a white background and repeating them multiple times on the page. And you could probably manage to stay on Google for a day or two before they cottoned onto that. Obviously, much more different these days.
Right, right.
So, again, actually just thinking about the challenges over the last 25 years, that's been a significant one, just the changing landscape in technology.
Yeah.
So we found SEO and content creation to gain positions on and good rankings on Google much, much easier, say, 15 years ago than it is now.
Right, right.
So you've got to approach them. I mean, when I was first doing SEO, clearly there was no social media. It was a completely different approach to marketing.
Yeah.
So I think just being aware of how that digital landscape is changing all the time and trying to keep on top of it is probably one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah. Well, and interesting that you say that, because when you were talking about like in 97, whatever year you were talking about, when we didn't really have, the internet was kind of
1843.
like, okay. So I go back to like when I started, because I started my entrepreneur journey around 1998, 97, 98. My youngest was a baby at that time. And I went into Mary Kay at that time, network marketing space, and I shared with you, I was with them for 22 years. But back then, I mean, agreements, when we would have people come in, we would have to fill them out. And I was in Houston at the time, Houston, Texas. The corporate office was in Dallas. So you're talking a good 4 hour drive to transport. We would have to get things in at the end of the month, and we would have to fill these applications out. And we'd have to get a director to take all the applications and hurry up and drive them, like drive to Dallas to drop them off, We didn't have all this submit online thing. And even when you mentioned, how do you attract your market? I remember actually making cold calls, like actually getting a list of people in the area and calling people. I couldn't even imagine really doing that now, like doing that kind of a way of building, because it would, like, can you even get phone numbers? I don't even know. I mean, I guess maybe you can, but I bought list leads, since this time, and it's hard to get all that information anymore. Like back then you had everybody's home phone because people had landlines and you could call the landline. We didn't call cells, So you're right. It has changed so much. And for those of us that have been in long enough, whatever industry we're in, right, as entrepreneurs, business owners, we've had to sort of evolve the way we conduct our own businesses. Even like when COVID came around, we had to evolve again, right?
Completely. I mean, in terms of that evolution, one of the stats that I heard recently is kind of dwell time on homepages is down to 18 seconds. The time talking about the forms and so on and filling those in, one of the early businesses after the web design was doing company formation. So again, I think probably 99, we were the first online company formation agent. And that form, I think about people's attention span now online. It was literally the form to create a company was all the directors, all of their addresses, all of the dates of birth, registered office. And it was literally one form. It wasn't going through several screens. It was one form. So you either completed it or you started again. Yeah. And it really makes me giggle now thinking about how long people stay on a page, and you think 18 seconds, I'm going to have to cover a lot of ground in those 18 seconds.
Yeah. I feel like people don't have attention spans anymore. No. People are just like, no. I can't see it fast. We ain't looking at it. I'm not even going to read all that. Everything's got to be short, sweet, to the point. I was just talking to somebody. I met with a marketing guy today, and we were talking about like content creation. I was specifically talking about the podcast, and he's like, yeah, like you got to put out he was giving me some advice, like try to put out like 8 pieces of content, and they got to be short to get people. I'm like, first of all, I'm stuck. Hold on. 8 things for one, 8. I'm like, you want me to do 8? I can barely get 1. It takes me that long to get that ready. And I got to do this short enough to keep people's attention span and make sure it's good to keep their attention span. You're asking a lot now. Like, I mean, we had dial up,
And the problem we're going to get is, of course, everyone using AI to generate those 8 pieces of content.
Oh,
and it's
my
just
gosh.
going to be,
I
AI bots talking to each other.
Yeah, I think we should bring dial-up back just for a short period of time to show everybody what it was like to have to wait for the internet to connect. And maybe they'll appreciate waiting for a few minutes to read something,
Absolutely. Do you know what's funny when you mention that? I think back to my students, and I remember being blown away the first time I was showing any of them the internet. And these are business studies students, and I typed in a query. And he went, we were on dial-up, so you heard the modem kicking off in the background. But when the results came back, they went, it's really good, but it takes a bit of time, doesn't it? I'm just thinking it's, that's teenagers. They're still the same these days. And I'm thinking this is searching God knows how many millions of pages and coming back. So I'm blown away, and the students are going, still a little bit slow.
Yeah, right. I know, it's good. Well, and I think that's the great thing, though, is you get to see this transformation and evolve. And I think the businesses that really do good, they do learn to keep evolving and stay with the times, and don't get so set on this is the way we've always done it. This is the way it has to be. We're going to, I mean, there's certain things I think, your principles or your values, whatever is important to you, those should stay grounded. But I think you can evolve that to where you can keep, with technology and all of those things that are going. I mean, I think, we just have to keep, or else you get weeded out. You're not going to be able to keep up with everything that's going on out there,
Absolutely. So, absolutely.
Good stuff. So, yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on. I was reading your bio, which the running stuff, we talked about that, and the yoga, a little bit about that. I had another question. I totally drew a blank on what I wanted to ask you. I had a really good one. It's going to come back to me in a few minutes, but I would love to know, we'll get on to another one. I'll come back to that. I would love to know, aside from all these other things we just talked about, all the, evolving, what have you learned about yourself specifically through this whole journey as, moving from the teaching to the entrepreneur space?
Patience, I think, and to have more of it. I think genuinely, one of the things I learned from yoga, and it was fantastic. My first yoga teacher saying, it is a lifetime journey. Yeah. So I do Ashtanga, and I think he was saying, to get through the whole of Series A, probably set aside 10 years. And you just think 10 years as a time frame seems a really, really long time. But it's the same with the business. People set up and they expect instantly to be generating revenue and profit, and it does take time. And that first couple of years can be really, really hard. And just being in for the long play, I think, is very important. So patience has become super important to me. Times when it's really, really tough, I think you've just got to sit back and say, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. If it isn't, it won't. But that sounds very trite, but it is fundamentally the case. There are things over which you've got control and things you really don't.
Yeah, no. And I think that even goes along. I think we can extend on that and even saying just really learning also how to relish in the moment of the things that are going on, right? Like finding some wins in those things that are happening so that it makes that patience a little bit easier. I mean, patience is something, you do have to work on it, right? Like not everybody's just born going, okay, I'm patient, especially I think with achievers, because I think we're so driven to succeed all the time that it's hard to go, like I'm not seeing it happening. And, like in all areas. I mean, I still do that even, as a coach, and I'm telling people, I'll get up some days and I'm like, okay, I've had it. Like, this is not doing what I want it to do. And I put in all this energy and I'm like, okay. And then usually when that happens, I have to just say, I need a break. I need to pause for a few minutes. I want to, I don't like to make big decisions that are big without sleeping on it and really thinking, but it usually means I need to pause, So
yeah,
I think learning to find gratitude in that middle is important.
Entrepreneurs, are you ready to level up your leadership skills? Tune in now for an exclusive offer designed just for you. This is my time. Did you know 63% of consumers prefer businesses aligned with their values? Recognizing your core values isn't just vital for business growth, it's the bedrock of effective leadership. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or an aspiring creator, identifying your core values is a key step in constructing the framework of a successful leader, enabling you to lead authentically, expand your business, and live life on your terms. I never settled on play, putting the kettle to flame. I go 100 all day, foot on the pedal, no brakes. 10, 9, 8 on my dues, waited in line, 8. Are you ready to access tools to kickstart your leadership journey? Unlock a treasure trove of insights and get your free resources at www.linktree/Jennifer Loading. Take that crucial first step toward realizing your leadership aspirations and elevate your leadership game today. Ready to shine.
I think that's really, really critical. And even today, just on the train into the office, you just get a LinkedIn post from somebody saying how great the service is. And that's it. It sets you up. It just changes your view on the day. I was coming into the office thinking, got loads on today. It's going to be really hectic. And that pops up. And as you say, it's taking some pleasure in those little things.
Yeah, every day. Well, and I think the more you do that, the better you get at doing that. I know when I first started, I always say it's cliche because I try to talk to my clients about gratitude, and it's like, oh, they've heard this everywhere. And I'm like, it's not really about sometimes you just got to do things to do things. Sometimes you just got to do it to build the discipline. And, and for me, I'm a very disciplined person. When I started doing a lot of gratitude work, that for me was really just about doing the discipline in that, because I always say I didn't really grow up in a home where we were kind of see the bright side of everything. And so I didn't really have that in my bones. And so I would look at things and always be a pessimist. And I didn't like that. I really didn't like that about myself. And so I really went to work when I started doing my coaching on how can I change my outlook on things? And so the gratitude was one of the things I had to really work on, but I made it more of like a disciplined practice for myself in that I would write it down on my to-do list every day to purposely go in and try to find things I could be grateful for. And so I'd write it down. And Kieron, I'll tell you, it was so cheesy. I would write things like, I'm grateful for my cups. I'm grateful for my plates. I'm grateful for forks.
That's it.
I'm grateful for a front door that locks, but the thing is, as cheesy as and cliche as that sounded, it got me into the habit of it changed the way I was thinking. It wasn't the only thing that changed though, but it was a piece of the puzzle that helped me to stop getting focused on things I didn't like, things I didn't want, and really start looking at the things in my day that I could find that brought blessing into my life. Right. And then that gets us back to, and that's how it helps, I think, for me with the patience ongoing, is that when I'm getting boggled, I can go, hey, but this happened today, and this is why I do what I do.
And I think, that's also about objectivity and perspective. I think those are really, really key too. When we got started with this, we saw a very strong virtuous circle of charities, donors, and fundraisers whose, very being is about doing amazing things. That's what those people get up and do every day, whether they're donating, giving generously, running marathons, baking cakes. And the charities, clearly the people operating the charities are going to work every day making a real difference. So we saw that virtuous circle and thought there's a space in there for a fundraising platform to be equally virtuous and do this 100% free and fund that through another model. It was a model that existed. Corporate sponsorship wasn't anything new. But talking about objectivity and perspective, if I ever need a bit of that, all I need to do is visit our fundraising platform, and there's 55 stories on there. And, you read 2 of them and you go, okay, my life might seem a bit tough today, but look at what these people are doing and what they're achieving. Right. And I think that perspective is just so valuable.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, just to really emphasize and hone in on what you're saying there is, so you're taking the proactive step to say, go look that, right? Like, and I think that's where it comes into like taking the step to do something about it, not sitting in that, if you're in that state of mind, right? Like doing something to pull yourself out of that state of mind. So many takeaways in all of this, I think, that are really, really good. So good stuff. Okay. So I'd love to know, because you are a runner and we talked about this, and everybody follows me, knows that stuff goes on in my house, has been going on for many, many years. I would love to know some of the parallels, like how that's helped you with your businesses and with, navigating all the complexities that come with owning businesses and bringing these businesses up and running.
A couple of really obvious ones, I guess. Talking about patience, everyone's heard the quote, "It's a marathon, not a sprint." Right. So there's the same thing there for sure. Yeah. And I'm definitely not a sprinter. My kids laugh at me when I run quickly or try to run quickly. I remember doing the children's sports day, joining with the parents from there. I think I came last, and I'm really keen on running, but I'm not a fast runner. So for me, I think a couple of things that are really, really important. One is it takes me out of everything else. Genuinely, I call it my moving meditation. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. But I think just that physicality of it being such a rhythmic thing is really, really nice and stopping your brain for a bit. But then ironically or paradoxically, a lot of the problems that I solve in the business are solved out on a run, because it is giving your mind that space to stop thinking and actually start thinking, if that makes any sense at all. But by not consciously dwelling on something, I think often the solutions come to you because you're not fixated. Right. So I think the perseverance, done a couple of marathons. I'm certainly not an ultra runner, and I've not done dozens and dozens of them, but just starting that and knowing that there's no option other than finishing it, at least in your own mind, is a really good metaphor for business as well. This is it. It's non-negotiable. The gun's gone off, and I'm not going to stop until I get to the finish line.
You got to get to the finish line, right? You can't sit down in the middle of the race.
Exactly. And again, just going back, it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get there. You're going to get there. So I think that's been really, really important. Yeah,
that's good too. And I think too, I don't know, you probably feel this way from the runner perspective, that because you kind of said, the mindset of you got to finish. I think it is all mindset, right? Because I've told this story several times about how like we would run like multiple races on a weekend. We might do a half marathon on Saturday and turn around and do another one on Sunday. Or my husband's done like 4 marathons consecutively over 4 days, over like a holiday weekend. Crazy. I know. That's 100 miles. There you go. You just broke it up. But there would be times like we'd go run like a half, and then I'd get up the next day and have to go run like a 5K. And I'd be like, I can't do this. Like, I just can't, but I got to finish. I got to get to the end. Right. And then there'd be other days I'm like, I got this. Like, I've got a marathon, I've got a half marathon. I'm going to go run the next one next day. And I'm like, got it. Right. So it really becomes about the mindset. And I always feel like, how we do one thing is sort of how we do all things. And so I think that I feel like, when you do these athletic things on the side, they really do teach you these great life skills that you can really apply to all areas of your life, whether it be your business, your personal, and in your case, you're talking about patience. Learning that you got to get to the finish line, however long it takes you there. And if you can carry that same mindset into what you're doing in your business, we're going to take it there. Whatever it takes to get it there, we're going to do it.
And again, circling back to what we started talking about in that changing landscapes that we're operating in, I'm getting older, so my personal bests are behind me in terms of time, but you just set different personal bests. It's how many miles or whatever it might be, how many days a week am I going to run? There's always a new personal best. So it's adapting to changing circumstances too.
Yeah, that's good. All right, another question real quick. I'd love to know, and this is my favorite question. I've been asking everybody. It's fun because it's always I get kind of the same thing, just different verbiage around it. I'd love to know, in your mind or in your words, what do you feel like is success for you? What does that look like?
Wow. I'm going to probably misquote Steve Jobs.
That's all good. It'll be close enough.
It'll be close enough. But I mean, he actually used the word wonderful in the quote that I'm about to use as well. So that was quite nice. And I think it went something like, I don't want to die being the richest man in the cemetery. I just want to kind of finish the day thinking we've done something wonderful. And I think that is just so important. It sounds very grandiose, but genuinely, I think when we finish the day, today, for example, we've just rolled out one of the services completely free of charge to charities. That feels like a great day for me because there's something that they can use that's going to cost them nothing and helps them generate more revenue.
Okay.
So we won't earn anything from that. We will certainly, in terms of, I guess kudos is probably the wrong word, but in terms of our reputation, it's great for us. Yeah. But I think much more than that, it's just about thinking, well, that might make a difference. So I think that's the most important thing.
I love it. And I feel like, I've had several recordings I've done today. I feel like we all sort of kind of say the same thing. We just have a different way of expressing. But I think it always ends up coming back to, making impact and being able to do what we love and do it on our terms, so to speak, right?
Completely.
Like making our day what we want it to be. I love it because I just feel like that question, it really gets to the center of what is this for you? Because other people are listening to this and they're like, why do these people do what they do? Really. And that's what we try to show on this show is like, why do people do the things that they do and what's moving them to go forward? So really good stuff. Okay, well, this has been awesome. You're doing cool things. I love it. I like that you're doing your workouts and getting all the good stuff in over there because I think that is an important part to our well-being. It keeps us all together, and makes all this other stuff in life so much easier. But I'd love to ask you a couple fun questions because I know you're a drummer and you got all these other cool things you've done. So that being first, indie rock band. So I'd love to know where you guys played. Like, were y'all in these little small gigs? Did y'all get to travel? Tell me a little bit about that real quick.
Tell you what, my proudest moment, actually, funnily enough, we were watching a documentary about Blondie coming to England and conquering England, which was on the BBC the last couple of weeks. And it was seeing a couple of the venues come up on that documentary that everyone's played. And I'm really proud to say we played at the Marquee in London and we played at Dingwalls in London. So they're really great venues.
Very cool.
Funnily enough, the band I was in was a bit of a Blondie sound-alike, though the singer and guitarist would kill me for saying that because they hated any references to it. But it kind of was. We had a girl singer, guitar, bass, drums, and very much that kind of scene. Early 90s, late 80s. So a little after Blondie's probably peaked, but great fun, really great fun.
That's fun. Well, and Blondie was obviously, did a great job. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It would be bad if she was like
Glastonbury 2023 still playing.
I know. Some of these singers are still going. It's fun, and she still goes. I mean, it's fun. And
there was a couple of spots on the documentary from Glastonbury. I'm thinking, crikey, she could still belt them out as well. What a voice! So amazing.
Great. That's so great.
So great.
Awesome. All right. So I'd love to know, this is my one question I have to ask you, because I know you're a runner and I know you told me that you have a specific diet that you follow, but I'd love to know like the one guilty pleasure. Like what's the one thing that's like, I really like this and I shouldn't eat it?
I've got a terrible sweet tooth. So if I can find vegan versions of anything sweet, it's that. There's a restaurant that whenever I was in New York called Peace Food.
Okay.
That does some amazing vegan desserts. And of course, I shouldn't probably say this, probably offend all of you listeners, but American portions. So really nice big plates of something after a marathon is fantastic.
There's a place here. They have 2 locations. It's called Spiral Diner that my kids love. And it's basically like the vegan vegetarian food. So when we do Thanksgiving, we have to kind of do potluck because I got one kid vegetarian, one's vegan, the other one's not. We're not. So we do sort of a potluck, but they always come over and they'll have like, they brought their, they had a pumpkin pie from the Spiral Diner, and they had, but then this is my daughter's husband. He'll make some food too, but they love this Spiral Diner. Like it's like an old school diner, like the diner you see, but it's got like desserts in the diner thing, and they make food and stuff. And my son, it's not close to our house. And every time his birthday rolls around, he's like, I want to go to the Spiral Diner. That's the one that eats meat, but he wants to go to the Spiral Diner. And I'm like, it's not even by our house, So anyways, you probably would like it.
Yep, sounds good. No, I mean, the Peace Food, I think they do a crumble over there, like a apple crumble or a raspberry crumble. It's just fantastic, particularly after a marathon.
Yeah,
highly recommend.
Yeah, that's good. I like pie. I'm a big cherry pie. That's my favorite, cherry pie with ice cream. I like it. I don't eat it very often,
sounds
but
good.
that's fine. All right. I'd love to know maybe a book. Do you have a book that had kind of maybe a profound effect on you? Something you remember reading that was like, that's the one.
Everything by Murakami, essentially. Haruki Murakami, a big fan.
Yeah.
Dance, 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 I think was the first one that I read. I don't know. I just love his writing. There's so many times that I'll just go back to the beginning of a paragraph and reread a sentence. I think that it's just exquisitely written. So, no, I really, really love Murakami.
Very cool. Okay, one last question I want to ask you, because I know you have your routine. I would love to know, are you a morning workout or afternoon workout? When do you do your workouts?
That's changed again. Funny how life changes. There was a time when I could never run in the morning. I absolutely hated it. It was just the worst thing for me. And now, bizarrely, I tend to run before breakfast.
Yep.
And yoga in the evenings, which, again, for any Ashtanga, they will howl if they hear that, because it's you're supposed to do it the other way around, Ashtanga in the morning and anything else later.
That's good. And you know what? I used to be like that too. I was not a morning person, so everything I'd have to do, it would be reverse. And now, like, I have to get my workout done. I don't do it necessarily before breakfast, because we do walk dogs and all that, and then I do get my workout in. But interestingly, I read this book. It's called The Power of When. It's by the sleep doctor. And he talks about how we operate off circadian rhythm. And it's funny because I'm a lion. And so my circadian rhythm, it says basically I should work out at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when I have kind of my sinking spell.
Okay.
But here's the thing. When I'm dressed, I'm dressed. I'm not going to get up, get dressed, and then go work out and have to get dressed again. And I'm like, no, that's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I got networking. I got things. We're not doing all that. It's just doing in the morning. So no. I like my morning. I get it done. I knock it out, and it's over.
I think one of the handy hints for morning runs that I read a while ago in a runner's magazine was get everything laid out by the side of the bed, so there's no excuse. You can't do that. Oh, I've got to go and find this, and I've got to go and find that. I'll just get back into bed.
Yeah.
So if your trainers and your shorts are there by the bed, you step into them and out you go.
Just go. That's good. That's good. But I don't sense that you have that problem getting out the door. You've been doing it for a long time now. It's like I was telling somebody, maybe it was on the previous, I told him, I said, like, I don't know about you, but it's got to be. For me, exercise is really not negotiable. So I don't have that. I really have to tell myself not to do it. Like, I have to tell myself sometimes just take a day off. I'm tired. I need to rest. Like, I'm physically tired. But I will tell you, I got a new watch, a new Garmin. And this one's pretty nice because it's a coach. I like it. The darn thing will tell me, like, every time I go run, and I told you the other day when we were off, I don't really run that long anymore. So I might go out and do like 4 or 5 miles. It will tell me, it'll come back and it'll be like, you need 30 hours of recovery. So I'll be like, okay, I guess I better tell myself we're going to take a day off tomorrow and rest. We need to rest.
The problem is I don't agree with Garmin's recovery times. I think they're really overstated. They're a really lovely excuse to take the week off.
I'm not good at following. That's my point. But I do look at it sometimes.
Ignore it. I've finished a yoga practice once, and it said, right, okay, 72 hours until the next
did
one.
it? Oh my goodness.
And I think it might have even been a restorative practice. So I was kind of.
Yeah, the only time I've seen it do that is when I've done a longer run. It hasn't done it when I've done like 2 or 3 miles, or if I do my regular work. It only does that every time I go above 4 and up. It'll come back and it'll be like, you need to rest. But like you, I don't really pay attention. I'm making kind of a joke about it because I think it's funny because it'll tell me, it'll come up, you need 72 hours of recovery. I'm like, that's 5 days. I'm not resting that long. Who can take off? I'm going to be a vegetable in 5 days, but I think it's funny. So my point to that is that every now and then I have to physically tell myself, you're tired today, Jennifer. Just take a breather. You know what I mean? Like breathe.
I had somebody stop in front of me on the King's Road in Chelsea when I was running to the office the other week, and they just pulled up sharp in front of me. I ended up tearing a muscle in my calf, stopping to avoid running into them. So now my Garmin is saying I am detraining because I've not been able to run for a couple of weeks now, which is killing me. But my watch is really beating me up about it. It says, you're detraining. I'm thinking, I'm not. I'm injured. Leave me alone.
I know. Mine does tell me to move. It'll say, get up and move. I'm like, will you stop being bossy?
Exactly.
I love it. Well, this has been fun, Kieron. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, maybe they want to learn a little bit more about your payment processing and what you've got going on running. I don't know. Maybe they want to figure something out. Where would we like to send them?
Simplest place is wonderful.co.uk. So very easy domain name to remember. And the charity fundraising platform is at wonderful.org.
Okay.
You can tell I've been in the web business and domain name registration for a long time.
It's all good. It's all, whatever works. Hey, right? It's easy to remember and easy to get to, right?
That's
it works. It works. So great. Well, we'll make sure when we get this done and we get all the bells and whistles on there, we'll get the websites in there too, so people know where to find you and stuff. So it's been fun. Thank you for sharing with us and
great.
Telling us a little bit about your journey. And yeah, you're doing awesome stuff.
No, my pleasure. Thanks again. Really, really grateful for the opportunity. Lovely to meet you.
We do want to say to our audience, of course, if you enjoy the show, please be sure you give us a rating over at Apple. Check us out on YouTube. You can hit that subscribe button. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.